everybody. Welcome to the Fortress Comic News, episode 68. I am one of your hosts, Chris, alongside
Mike.
the man with the plan.
No, don't mistake me for the man with the plan. That's Chris, everyone. He's just being bashful. Happy 420 weekend, everyone. Hope you were safe and sound on your couch eating potato chips. We have
got time to go see Super Troopers.
Super Troopers 2. I did, and I will talk about that. If you, for people watching the show or for people listening to the show, my background today is a little splash page from Dark Knight's Metal. Because our guest today that we're going to be interviewing is Jonathan Glapion. Glapion, yeah. He does the inking, a lot of inking for DC. Started with Image and stuff. We'll talk about what he's been doing when he's on the show. But first, we're going to talk a little news. But I saw a couple of movies this weekend, and I still read some of my comics. So I don't know how that happened, but and I entertained my friends for the weekend, so that was cool. Had some people visit me and stuff. That's always nice, Human interaction. It's socialization is kind of a scary thing for us comic book readers, but
I find that human interaction's overrated. I've had the house to myself all weekend. It's been
nice. I did see you playing God of War 4, dude. I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, it's really fucking good.
Yeah, I've been watching all the Twitch streams. I was like, I wish Chris would just stream so I could watch him play.
I literally got to a point where I was sitting there and something happened. I don't want to spoil this game because it's that good. But something happened, and as someone who's played every God of War game, including the PSP games, I was like, do I do the show or do I keep playing the game? But
I will say this. I don't know if this is spoiler related to the game or not. I mean, this installment of God of War, typically the God of War games, I've never played them, but I know of them. They revolve around Greek mythology, correct?
Yes. And
Kratos is he becomes the God of War? Is that what happens?
Yes, he kills Ares at one point and becomes the God of War.
So now this installment, we're dealing with Norse gods.
Yes.
Okay. And I did see I saw an excerpt from the game. I don't know if they're going to be in this game or they're going to make like a few more installments after that. But I saw some symbols that showed other gods from other religions. Like I recognize the symbol of Buddhism, and I recognize the symbol of Anubis, like the Eye of Anubis for Egyptian people. So I'm hoping that they take this Norse god thing and then they run with it and do other installments with other religions.
There's something weaved within the story that would allow them to do whatever they want with whatever religion they want moving forward.
Yeah. I saw the Buddhism thing and I got super excited that they could go with like samurai shit. I'd be so excited for that. Like it just like set in Asia and just him fighting giant samurais and I don't know.
Well, this, now that we're on Fortress of video game news.
Yeah,
this
over everybody.
I was really worried about this game because I heard all the people praising it left and right, and I'm a huge God of War fan, and a lot of the critics are not as much God of War fans. And I was like, I wonder if it's not going to be what I want it to be.
Yeah,
it really is an evolution of that game and that style, and it gives new life to that game, and I'm super excited to see what happens moving forward because there's obviously going to be another one. I haven't even beat it, and I can tell you that just based on reception and sales and all that.
I think it has a 95 on Metacritic right now, which is Metacritic is usually pretty good about rating video games.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching some of the mechanics, and I will say that they've taken some stuff from Dark Souls, which is good. And I've noticed a lot of people are struggling, especially like the streamers that are playing on super hard difficulties, because they're going in on super hard difficulty, but they're just trying to button mash. And I know like the older style God of War games are like button mashers, but for Dark Souls, you can't be running in and like without parry. I know this game you can like parry people with your shield, and you can kind of like stun lock them, which is a huge part of Dark Souls. And I'm like, oh man, you can't just run in like that. But it looks like I would enjoy it a lot. It doesn't look just like a typical button masher like that game. What's that game? Darksiders. That was definitely that type of game.
Yeah. I guess one last quick thing. If for you in particular, I've never played Bloodborne, but it looks a lot like a Bloodborne-ish style.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially if you crank it up to super hard.
Yeah, it's just like you're back in the Dark Souls. Anyways, we talked a lot about video games there, which is fine, and we talked about dumber things on this show, so I can't really say much about that. I went and saw Super Troopers 2 this weekend. It is one of those movies that if you enjoyed Super Troopers 1, you're gonna really enjoy 2. I will say they managed to rehash the movie without. It wasn't a Zoolander 2, which I was really excited about. They took some of the good jokes. They kind of reused them, but reused them in a good way, and they made little nods to the first movie, and it was hilarious. I think it has like a 30 on Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes right now, which is definitely not deserved at all. If you go on like Reddit with all the fans watching it, I think they gave it like an 8 out of 10 or something like that. So definitely, if you love what is it? The Lizard Productions,
Broken Lizard.
Yeah, if you love those guys' movies, definitely go see it. I mean, the movie is crowdfunded, so people wanted this movie to be made. It's really funny. There's some really good jokes in there. There's some new characters. There's some old recurring characters. It was just a fun time. I'm really excited to see these guys making more movies. I also, personally, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. I think that's good. I did see The Wailing this weekend. It's that's not a movie that just came out. If you're a big fan of Guillermo del Toro movies, that type of horror, suspense horror, he says in his interviews a lot of times, people are always asking, "What's your favorite horror movie? What do you currently hold as like number one for yourself?" He will refer to this Korean movie called The Wailing, and it's about this Korean town. And basically there's like a Japanese shaman that's living outside the town, and there's all these rumors about him going around like he like sucks people's blood, like he's a vampire or something. Well, anyways, it revolves around a cop in the town, and something happens with the cop where something happens within his family where he starts being affected by the shaman, and people in the town are being infected almost like zombies. But they like go crazy and they murder their families. It's really good. I'm going to tell you, you're not going to see the ending coming. I mean, I was like, oh, I can see this twist coming. And at the end, like, me and my friends were kind of like, wow, I need to go read into this plot more because that ending was fantastic. It's definitely a Guillermo del Toro style movie. There's subtitles, so if you can get past the subtitles, it is great. I mean, it's got to be, I would put it in one of my top 10 horror movies now, for sure. And that doesn't happen very often where you just see a scary movie. Oh man, I think I have a third movie to talk about. Did I talk about A Quiet Place yet?
Yes, last week.
Oh man, I completely forgot. All right, so that's it. That's all my movies I've seen. What about you? What's going on?
I played God of War.
Fair enough. Occupied all your time. That's what I expect.
Mike.
Hey, Chris, did you see Flash this week?
I did, Mike.
Wow. Yeah. We're not going to do those voices anymore on the show. I'm really sorry about that. Please.
I'd like to apologize ahead of time.
please be our fans still. We won't do that anymore. Flash, spoilers, was really depressing this week. I was kind of upset because, you see Ralph Dibny dying, and I'm like, damn it, I really like this character. I wish the guy would still have a job and be on the show. And then I didn't realize, oh my god, they're making him the villain, which is kind of cool. I mean, you get to see him be the villain for a little bit, but I really hope he comes back as a good guy. I don't know.
Yeah, I was sad about it. Honestly, it was weird. I really liked him, the actor and the character, and I hope they find a way to kind of save him in the end. Comic book science the fuck out of it.
Yeah, please. Bring all the comic book science to bring him back.
Yeah, But it all made sense because in the end, they needed Plastic Man for a multitude of reasons.
Elongated Man.
Elongated Man.
Come
Sorry.
on. Come on.
And
Don't get your plastic heroes mixed.
Yeah, how dare I?
There
Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was Elongated Man was a great character, and I hope they find a way to bring him back. It made a lot of sense as to why the Thinker needed him, and it was the training that Flash gave him, the insight to Team Flash, and then also it was kind of sweet that in the end it was just so he could bring back his face.
Yeah.
So that his wife would be able to look at his face once again. It was sweet in a very sadistic way.
Yeah, there was something more to that. I mean, there's a really good conversation with Flash that he has where you finally realize, wow, he wants to be a hero now and he cares about these people. But the fact that, like, I think there's something more to that the Thinker wanted his body because of how invincible he is too. Because we know that the Thinker his body was degrading, right? It couldn't handle what he was doing to it. So there's something about the dark matter and him being kind of immune to it, I think.
Oh, it was the fact that Dibny's body was able to elongate and kind of shift in shape so it could adjust to his ever-growing brain.
Yeah.
So basically, Dibny was the cure to the Thinker's disease.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I didn't get the whole comic. I mean, I never really understand comic book science, but there's this whole scene where like Wells kind of overrides his brain with dark matter to like try to outthink the Thinker. But I don't know. That was kind of like, for as big as they were making that, like him talking to Gideon and stuff. I feel like that's not the end of that we're going to see, because they almost kind of like hand waved it off, like, oh yeah, that was just him being stupid, and it didn't really work out for him. But I think there's some more there of maybe he's not the same Wells that we thought. There has to be repercussions there, I would think.
I think Wells is going to don a suit next season.
Yes, and I would be so pumped for that. And what a way to send off that character if that's like the last season he's doing. I mean, come on. He deserves it, man. He deserves a full season of being the villain, I think. At least that's my opinion. So Walking Dead had a season finale that I haven't watched yet. But Chris, can you give us a brief non-spoiler?
So I'm going to attempt to tread lightly, and Mike, you might hear him go, no.
Good or bad? Let's start there.
It was really good.
Okay.
It solved every issue that I've had about the season, and the ending mirrors the comic, is what I'll say.
Okay.
I was really surprised in how it went, and I liked. There's a lot of good twists in it. Characters who we thought were bad are good. Character who we thought would stick around maybe doesn't so much.
Oh, doesn't so much. That means dead.
Maybe not.
Oh, okay.
And there's kind of it's not a post-credit scene, but it felt like it should have been a post-credit scene. And once again, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it gets me excited for the next season.
I can't wait.
It does.
I don't know why my camera takes my thumbs away when I go to thumbs up, but I'm thumbs upping right now. So
I really think as a whole, season 9 is going to be a good kind of, not really reboot, but kind of a way to refresh the series and create a very unique conflict that I don't think we've seen in the comics at all.
Awesome.
So yeah, so big thumbs up. I can't wait for next season now.
Great. Yeah, so I think that's it for television stuff.
Well, there was one piece of news that hit too that I wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah,
I know it's more of a me thing than a. But
hey, your needs. You have needs too, right? This isn't just.
I do.
This isn't just the Fortress Rickard show, okay?
This is a marriage.
Complete marriage. I like that. That's good.
So everyone knows how much I love Jonathan Hickman. And
yes.
Loved him at Marvel, and I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck he's doing as to what's going on at DC.
Yeah.
But anyone that's read his Image work, some of it got picked up by Amazon to be a TV series. So Transhuman, which is an old book he did. And then more importantly, at least to me, East of West. which is a book I absolutely love.
Awesome.
Picked option by Amazon, so we will at least see pilots for these shows.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see TV shows.
I think that's so cool that Amazon does that. They'll release the pilot, and based on that, they're like, okay, we could do the whole season. East of West, man, what is that? It's like 60 issues, right? He did that for... Is this still going on?
No, that's actually... I think we're in like 36 on that one.
Oh, okay.
But it's like Saga. He takes breaks on it and then comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually collected... I think I have like the first 20 issues or so. I was reading it, and it was just... But that was it. He took a break, and then I kind of took a break, and then I just never got back on. It wasn't because it was a bad book, but fantastic book, and the art is amazing.
Yeah,
and it's just like a post-apocalyptic Western is what I'm trying to say. I was going to say polka dotted Western, which is not. I don't know if there's any polka dots in it, but
it's one of those things where I don't know how it's going to translate to TV because it's you say a post-apocalyptic Western with a hint of religion and some of the most convoluted shit I've ever seen in my life.
And I know you guys think we're describing Westworld, but it's not Westworld.
No. But
yeah,
I love the book, and yeah, it's one of those. You're right. It took a break, and I forgot about it, but I never took it off my pull list. So when it came back, I was like, "Oh yeah, East to West exists."
Yeah,
and I don't talk about it much because it's usually like I'm trying to get through other stuff to talk about in the show, and so it's like one of those books. I think we got a new issue this week.
Yep,
and I probably read it tomorrow. So
okay, yeah,
but yeah, great book. So now we're going to take a break and come back. We've got a special guest.
Yes, we do.
So we'll see you on the other side. And welcome back, everybody. I have a very, very special guest for you. If you've read anything Batman in the last couple of years, whether it's Scott Snyder's run, Dark Knight's Metal, and even a book that Mike and I both love very much and praised highly on this podcast, Reborn. We have Jonathan Glapion, the inker for that, on the show. Say hi, John.
Hey, what's up?
I think, did you pronounce it wrong? It's Glapion, right?
Glapion, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Glapion.
Chris, you were practicing it. He does it all the time.
We usually say like Galpin or Glapion. It's Glapion. French people say it.
Glapion.
So anyone who's wondering, it's Glapion. That's it. So welcome, man. I'm a huge fan of your work. I've been looking at your website that you have and the art that you have up there, and I'm like, I'm this close to buying a page. I just don't know which one I want yet because I do collect pages. Obviously, huge fan of metal, huge fan of Reborn, and I let's just get an intro really quick. How did you get in the industry, the comic book industry, doing the inking and stuff?
I'll try to condense it.
You can make it as long as you want. It's fine. Well,
no sense. I got lucky getting in. I had no path to get into comics. I painted and did illustrator type things, and I didn't draw anything comic book related. So I lost all my stuff. So I lost all my stuff in storage years and years ago when I was younger, and I moped around for like a year and didn't draw anything because I lost my portfolios and everything. And then I was, I guess, in that moping phase, I was watching TV. I don't know if you guys are too young to remember or whatever, but there was Entertainment Tonight did a segment called How They Do That, I think, and they showed how the process of how Spawn was made.
Oh, okay.
And so they talked to Todd McFarlane, and they showed Todd talking to Greg Capullo on the phone. And then it showed like this map of the United States with the little airplanes or where the pages go.
Yeah.
And I just had this idea that it was, you either had to live in New York or in a studio environment somewhere. And when I saw that wasn't the case, at that point I was picking up comic books just for the pictures, and I didn't really, I like the art. But so I'm sorry, you might hear a baby in the background. That's all.
It's all right. We all have our lives to get back to too, so it's fine. It's
so what was I saw the episode, and I realized that each thing was a job, the writer, penciler, inker, and they didn't always have to live in the same space. So then I started getting interested in as far as like, how do you go about working in that industry? What do you need to do?
Mm-hmm.
I saw a flyer one day for a local comic book signing at a comic, and it was the inker, the colorist, and the graphic designer. Mm-hmm. There was no that was there signing. Maybe I would have took a different path if I talked to a penciler first, but
yeah,
figured the closest thing to touching the original page was the inker. So no offense to the other guys, they were talented in their own rights, but I wanted hands on the page. And so I talked to the inker, and he happened to need an assistant. I didn't have a portfolio or anything.
Yeah.
The crazy part, I had no portfolio, and I waited an hour in line. There were guys with portfolios whose goal was to do that, that I didn't know I was doing. So I only really had one question: is what type of nib do you use? And that's all I asked, and I walked away. And I went out in the comic shop, and I was picking up some books for reference to see what was going on. And after the signing was over, the inker, Chance Wolf, who was working with McFarlane on the Spawn stuff, came up to me, and we just started talking art. And I think he realized that I had a knowledge of art. I just didn't have any way to show him anything. So he mentioned that he was looking for an assistant. And I told him, yeah, I'd be interested, whatever, however you get in or whatever you need to do. I'd be interested in at least talking about it. And he gave me a business card, and it was a business card, like a magician business card. So I thought he was being, I don't know if I can cuss on here. I thought he was being like a smart aleck about it and just kind of brushing me off. And I was thinking, why did he give me a business card?
Yeah. Like, what the hell?
And he just told me, he's like, yeah, just give me a call, in a couple of days, and I'll talk to you about some stuff. So I think I waited a day or two, and I called him, and then found out that he asked me where I lived, and I said, I live in the Sonoran Apartments. And he's like, I live in the same apartment complex.
Wow.
He lived around the corner from me.
Yeah.
I never knew. Crazier than that, I had no idea. My father lives down the street from where I lived.
Oh, wow.
Like a 5-minute drive.
Wow. That is awesome.
Tom McFarlane Productions, like the studio, the warehouse and the colorists and the graphic designers worked, and administrative people were like in Tempe, like just a 10-minute drive away.
Oh, that's really convenient.
That was this hub of all these guys in the industry. I think Marat Michaels was down the street. A friend of mine, Rob Schrager, who worked for DC Comics that I met through Chance, was down the street. I had more comic concentration around me than I had any idea of.
Yeah, you're in the thick of it. That's crazy.
Right in the middle. So a lot of times when people ask me, how can I go about getting in business? How'd you go about? I got lucky. I was just...
Hey, at least you're honest about it. I mean, most people are like, put in the hard work and stuff. You're like, I just got lucky.
I didn't put in any work. I did all my work before that. That I would be lying if I you have to be prepared to take advantage of an opportunity.
Oh yeah, for sure.
After I moped for a year, I did start doing my art again and drawing and things like that. I just didn't know anything about like the craft of inking as far as being trained to do that. I was just taking the stab at it. But yeah, it's kind of, that's how I got in a weird way. I never went to a convention ever.
Yeah.
Have anything in my portfolio that was comic book related. If I had a portfolio to show, I think I might have had 1 or 2 illustrations that I did that were published in a magazine, and that was it.
So, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, we always hear from different creators and stuff, their origin story kind of. And this is funny. I mean, obviously you have talent though. I mean, you're under strict deadlines and stuff like that. It's, we can't get away from that. And the stuff you've done for like, Batman and Dark Knight Metals, it's great stuff. Can you just tell us? I don't think we've ever had an inker on, Chris. Maybe you can correct me, but maybe you can just tell us a little bit about the process. Like, do you kind of do your own thing when you get these sketches, or do you take direction from the artist, like Craig Capullo, in a sense? Like, how does that work?
I'm open to suggestions from guys that I might not be familiar with their work.
Mm-hmm.
As far as at this point in my career, I'm open to knowing or being interested in what they like.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, people know what I do. I do what I do.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you're wanting, somebody that inks like somebody else, then you should probably just get that person.
Yeah.
But as far as like working with Greg, there's no direction at all.
Mm-hmm.
No conversation that me and Greg have before I get pages, before he FedExes me pages,
mm-hmm.
where he says, "Oh, I was thinking this. If you could do this texture here," that's all a combination of me exploring different things,
mm-hmm.
and sort of how I interpret Greg's pencils.
Yeah,
it's kind of nice to have that freedom, because he doesn't tell me, he doesn't give me a direction to go in.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've seen a lot of Greg's pencils, but they're not sort of they're not etched in stone. Like they're not. They're. People tell me that they're loose. I don't feel like they're loose. I guess it's enough information for me.
Yeah.
I feel with. Maybe it's different for other people, but he doesn't. I've worked with guys that tend to really draw everything in all the way down to the line weights.
Yeah.
Like I know about Greg, he doesn't. If you look at his pencils, he doesn't put all those line weights in there like that. So those are fun decisions that I get to make in respect to the pencils. I just try to respect what Greg has given me because I'm a fan of Greg's pencils.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are fans of Greg's pencils.
Yeah,
I'm like nutty over his pencils.
yeah. But for you, you're adding more detail and stuff, and giving the depth and everything like that. But you're also, so I guess I never really looked at it the way of you have to interpret what he's doing as well as add your own stuff to it too. So there's like two ends to it.
Yeah, I kind of break it down, and it's I sort of simplify things when I start working on it. I go for the shapes first, and I take a simple approach. It seems weird because it's very detailed when it's done.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to break things down into layers. I'll do like the shapes. I'll go after the shapes first, and then kind of work my way up from there. And all the rendering and all that craziness tend to come a little later in the process, like overpowering the piece right from the beginning, and getting stuck in one little corner. But I think maybe it was a little tricky inking Greg, to be honest with you, because Greg's previous inker, Danny Mickey, a shitty inker. So sorry, I don't know if I can cuss, but
no, you can. Yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, we do it all the time. So
it wasn't like he was a bad inker. So if I came in and I stunk it up, then it would be really obvious.
Yeah, it's a lot to live up to there.
Yeah, and I didn't want to ink Greg like a version of Danny.
Yep.
For me, back in the day, I probably would have inked Greg like a version of Danny. But the older, wiser me decided to use so
yeah, cool.
A lot less nibs, more brush. I don't know how much Danny uses a brush, but most of the stuff is 80-90% brush that I use. So
okay,
that might be the different look. And I think once I sort of honed in on that, I kind of got a feel for what worked over Greg. And I think he started kind of digging the textures. There was one point that I thought it was a pretty cool compliment that he said that he was drawing a little bit different. He was able to draw with more the side of the pencil, like shade things a little different, because he saw what I was giving him back that I would do.
Okay. Wow, that's cool.
We kind of would bounce things off of each other without having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's awesome.
But the interesting part, I don't mean to keep rambling, but the interesting part is most people will probably think that me and Greg talked a lot when we worked on Court of Owls.
Yep.
We never talked on the phone. We talked twice on the phone, and it was because there were some issues with some of the inks on some of the faces that were wonky, and that stuff was inks over blue line.
Okay.
So we were starting to have some, as Greg sort of got going, he got looser.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was having problems with how some of that stuff translated when I printed it in blue line.
Oh, okay.
And at the time, I didn't see it. Maybe at the time when I was up close to it, looking back, I was like, God, I really, some of those pages were like printed really light, and now I'm inking over pencils, and it's, so Reborn was the start of me inking over Greg's actual pencils. So I think that's why Reborn looks so much stronger than Court of Owls, in my opinion.
So let's talk a little. Let's talk a little about Reborn. I know we definitely want to talk about it. There's a lot happening in Reborn. I mean, there's giant samurais, fairies, all this stuff. How was that? That must have been a lot of fun for you. But was it like did you have to take a different approach, because there's probably a lot of things in there that you might have never inked before, right? I mean, there's a lot going on with that book.
Reborn was a different approach. It was different than Court of Owls to me. And I think it was different from what I got from Greg, just right out of the gate, because it was the inks over the pencils. Yeah, and I can't stress how big of a difference that is. And especially like to a lot of the newer sort of generation inkers that never had the opportunity of inking over pencils. A lot of people that are just terrified of inking over pencils because what if you mess up?
Yeah, it's stressful.
But I think that was kind of Greg unleashed without having crazy deadline pressure. If you notice, I don't know if you guys noticed, I noticed it, and I have a magnifying glass to prove it, that it seemed like he kept getting smaller and smaller with the detail and things that he drew.
Yeah, for sure.
This dude is drawing smaller and smaller.
So a lot of the stuff, especially like the scenes with the fairies fighting and all that stuff, I'm like, there's a lot of small details going on here.
There was a lot more I felt like it was a lot more detailed than Court of Owls.
For sure.
Things just seemed more condensed. So I had to adjust a lot of things to get that to work, down to the type of ink I used.
Oh, okay. Wow.
The bases, I had to use an ink that was thinner, because the precision that I would have to have inking those inks. And there were times where I had to have like a lamp with a magnifier.
Really? Wow.
It helped me. It helped me kind of take the stress off of being in such a cramped space, and it made things bigger. So I was able to move on those small things faster. That makes until I got to a point where my eyes kind of got acclimated, and then you kind of move away from that a little bit, and then you just get better prescription glasses.
Well, it's kind of cool. You like, I mean, we're getting really into the details of the artistic approach here, which is pretty awesome. I
hope. I'm trying to.
No, that's great. I really like this. But I like that idea of you had to create more space and it was easier for you to work in, right? I mean, instead of you're kind of condensing yourself to all these small details, you just kind of opened up the plane to do what you needed. So would you say Reborn is probably your favorite project to work on so far? Do you have a favorite project? Like, is there ever a moment like you're inking something, you're like, oh shit, man, this is so cool. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, on all of them, there's been those moments, but for different reasons. Court of Owls, Batman reset to #1.
Yeah, that's got to be awesome.
A big deal, I thought. And then the whole Greg coming to DC.
From Image,
on Haunt.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always bugging my editor, hey, why don't you guys try to get Greg over at DC? Because I just wanted to keep working with him.
Yeah.
So, being able to be on that book and have it have the success it had was really cool. Death of the Family was cool. Reborn was, God, I don't know how to rank them, but Reborn is up there for probably reasons that have nothing to do with art, which is crazy.
Really?
It's the first time that me, Greg, my wife, and kids, and Jamie did a show in Miami together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's awesome.
And like I said, I had never really previously talked to Greg on the phone or got a sense of who he was. There was no friendship built up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we spent time in Miami, and we were together every day. Lunches and dinners every single day. And so, just me and Greg hanging out at the bar and talking and kind of cutting it up. And that was the first time I talked to Greg, just a guy hanging out.
Yeah. He's a really cool guy to talk to too. I met him before. He's really chill.
There was things that Greg told me that I had no idea, that I couldn't imagine that was Greg. I was like, what? I had you pegged wrong in a lot of areas then. So so then working on Reborn, we did start talking.
Mm-hmm.
We did phone. We'll jump on the phone. And there was some moments where in the beginning where I felt maybe a little uptight inking. And when you're inking Greg, the slightest little angle or thing that you change,
mm-hmm.
it's a big deal. He does such nuanced things in his work that if you miss that little slight smirk that he adds to a character,
mm-hmm.
it changes the character of his drawing. It changes how he draws. There were some times where I kind of missed those things, and the difference from Court of Owls and now working on Reborn, he would get on the phone and call me. About it, or we would text about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was a time I felt it. I didn't say anything about it, but I felt a little nervous, kind of for the first time about it, because I just wanted to get it right. And he just told me to calm down and just do what I do.
Yeah.
And it was a confidence thing that I thought that it was cool that he
that's cool.
Had to say it, he could have just figure it out. It felt like a team thing. Definitely a collaboration thing. So,
and that's going to be pretty cool for you too, because we had talked about it before on our show, but it's Netflix bought the rights to that story, right? So we should be seeing some type of miniseries or show coming up for that. So that's got to be pretty cool for you to see that and be like, oh man, I had a hand in creating that. So
that would be cool. That would be cool. But then,
so what about Metal? I mean, Metal must have been awesome, right?
Metal felt like looking back on Metal now. I laugh about it. That was me and Greg suffering together. Because if you remember, some of the interviews out there where Greg said that he would never do a team book.
I
deeply remember Greg saying, "Oh no, I'm not going to do a team book." Different characters and this a lot. And then so when we did Metal and we're my wife was reading the script to me and we're talking about it, I'm like, that sounds like a team book. There's a lot of characters.
there's a lot of characters happening in this.
I always say Scott pulled one over on Greg on that one. Sucked them in and gave him a team book that just had everything in it.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about Metal, as far as it being a favorite, was more the fan reaction to it.
Oh man,
absolutely insane. It's overwhelming. The people that come up to us at shows and go nuts over Metal. It's a totally different energy than Court of Owls. It's considered classic. It's it's a great book, but there was something about Metal that said to the fans, but it seemed like the fans were like, this is what we wanted.
Yeah, and it incorporated a lot of the stuff that people have been asking about, like, where the hell is Plastic Man? And,
Right.
What's going on with Hawkman? All these like questions that we've had, like whatever happened, like Rebirth happened. We're missing all these characters now. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. You gotta, I know we're talking about, this is we're talking inking, and then I keep bringing up Greg, but
yeah,
Scott Snyder.
Yeah,
I don't. Every time I see Scott, it's like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah,
like, you keep track of all of that,
yeah,
and then have hit after hit like that.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's not just aiming for a hit. He's just doing. He's passionate about what he's doing. He has all these ideas, but he's such a humble guy. He's really down to earth. So to actually talk to him, and then all these ideas that he look at what was the splash page with the half splash with Plastic Man, and he finally comes out and he's like,
he's like half bulldozer, right? And
so that dude he's demented.
Yeah, the things he thinks, because I mean, you see that splash page and you're like, wow, like you just thought, like, why not just have him come out as like a human Swiss Army knife, But that must have been awesome for you to do those pages too. I mean, right? I mean, you get those pages, you're like, holy shit, this is going to be awesome.
Because I usually get an email from Greg. He'll send everybody an email of the page that he finishes.
Yeah.
So I see that, and it's cool. It's on the screen, so it's not as impressive as when I get the FedEx box.
Yeah.
It's every time I get the FedEx box and I open them right away.
Yeah.
I just look at the pages. It's crazy.
So for you, do you have any other projects coming up, or do you tend to stick to like one artist? You just ink Greg's stuff usually right now, or are you moving on to other projects? What do you got coming up?
Well, I don't know if you guys know about the Black Label.
Yep.
So me, Greg, Scott, and FCO are doing a Batman title for the Black Label. So we just went from that to the Black Label thing, and the way Scott was explaining it was an opportunity for us to finally work without the constraints of a monthly grind.
Yep.
Because I got war stories from Metal.
yeah. I'm sure deadlines and stuff must be super stressful, right? I mean, there's a lot of constraints there.
Last issue 5 and issue 6 were brutal.
Yeah.
They killed us. But as far as like sticking with Greg, I mean, I always said as long as Greg would have me, I would prefer to work with Greg. It makes sense.
It does, right? I mean, if you have this relationship going, you might as well keep it.
Or basketball fans, it's like somebody saying, I don't know about playing with Michael Jordan or Kobe.
Right. It's like, why would you not, right?
to collaborate with people that are at the very peak of what they do.
For sure. I mean, we'd say you're right up there too. I mean, so the stuff you're doing is absolutely fantastic. So do you have a favorite character? Is it DC or Marvel based, or
favorite character? I don't know if I have a favorite character, but I will say Batman Who Laughs kind of took everybody.
Yeah.
That was a fun character to work.
Yeah, that was definitely like you said, Scott's got a messed up mind. He really took that and ran with it.
I don't know if I have a favorite character. I just think I just like to, like I always, say to Greg, it's like, I don't care what you draw. If you want to draw the Smurfs,
I'll link them. That's awesome.
Work on really good art and, collaborate with people that are, partially sane at least.
Yeah, that's always good. Yeah. So where can people find you? Where's your stuff out right now? You have a website?
Yeah, website is glapion.inc, which is INK.
Okay.
And then I'm on Twitter, Jonathan Glapion, and Instagram, same handle. They're all the same.
Awesome.
I'm mostly active on Instagram and Twitter next, I guess.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, Jonathan, thanks so much for being on the show. Keep doing what you're doing. It's been great. The art for, Metal and Reborn. That's one of the reasons Chris and I loved it so much. So you're doing a great job there. Thanks for being on the show, dude.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Totally.
And we're back.
Yes, we are. Wow, what a
Mike, you did a good job with that one.
What
I said 2 words.
What a trip. Yeah. So I know everybody's like, wow, why the hell do we have to listen to Mike talk the whole time? I am a huge DC fan. Well, Chris is a DC fan, but I'm a huge DC fan. It flowed really well. I just couldn't stop asking this guy questions. We got some great insight on what the inker does, right? I mean, they have to interpret art, they have to make their own art. And they have a lot more freedom than I thought. And it's kind of cool. I guess I didn't realize they kind of follow an artist. Not really follow, but it would make sense if they've worked with an artist before and it works well. There's no reason to fix something that isn't broken, right? So that's awesome. Great interview. Super glad we got him on the show. Yeah, so let's talk comics, right?
Yay, comics.
Yay, comics. I had a busy weekend, but I did get to read a couple comic books, I think. One of them being Action 1000.
Oh, yeah, you did.
What a friggin' issue. And I mean, that's like reading 6 comics in one. It was like 90 pages. Action 1000 comes out. And now after this, Bendis will be taking over Action Comics as well as coming out with the 6-part weekly series, Man of Steel. What a great issue. I mean, there's all these separate stories, story by Tom King, story by Scott Snyder, story by Bendis, several other writers. Tomasi,
Jeff Johns.
Oh man, and they're all fantastic. Do you have a favorite you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll start with Bendis. The Bendis story I really enjoyed. It's kind of a prelude to what he's going to be doing in Man of Steel, because it literally does say to be revealed in the Man of Steel.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I thought it was a cool startup. It, in all honesty, wasn't anything super special.
Yeah.
But it still was a good Superman story. It's so tough to pick. I really like the Brad Meltzer story. I thought he did.
Which is great. If anybody knows Brad Meltzer, I was so excited to see him do a story because, correct me if I'm wrong, we haven't seen him do anything in a while. And I mean, Identity Crisis. He did that run with the Green Arrow. A really good run there. And that's all the experience I had with him. He did some stuff with Justice League, but yeah, his story was great.
Yeah, loved his story. I thought it was really cool. And all these stories are like anywhere from 2 to 6 pages.
Yeah.
Another one that I really enjoyed that I don't think everybody would enjoy as much as I did, but the Jeff Johns, Richard Donner story.
That was awesome. That was so cool.
Which was basically a sequel to Action number 1.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 I would pick out.
Yeah, the sequel to Action 1 where we get the guy whose car he destroyed, right? Yeah. And then he kind of like, he just, all Superman does is he doesn't beat anybody up. He just has a discussion with him like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be this way anymore. It was like, wow, that's all he needed to do. I will say the page where we get Kingdom Come Superman versus Magog was like,
oh yeah.
Then this is the Peter J. Tomasi story I'm talking about. Fantastic. We got to see him go through all the eras of Superman, and yeah, so good.
Tomasi's one of those guys that understands history, so
for sure,
it's great.
Yeah, I thought it was a great issue. Man, there's something for everybody in there. I mean, the Jeff Johns, the Scott Snyders, it's awesome. It's so cool. You get a good Lex versus Superman story. The art in the Jeff Johns story by Oliver Copel, I believe. Olivier Copel. I don't know how to pronounce the last name, but it was like old school, almost like watercolor. So good. what a great celebration of the character. I think it was perfect.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. It was a celebration.
Yeah. So that was really good. I'm really glad I read that. I read Batman 45. Dude, I cannot, like, I definitely read the two most important books that I had this week. Batman 45 is the start of the Booster Gold story. Now, buckle in, kids. This is spoilers for anyone who's going to read this. But can I just tell you, you don't expect a Booster Gold story to be as dark as it is. But I'm getting a FedEx package this afternoon to like overnight my wallet to Tom King. And I'm sure I'll have a restraining order or something after that. But anyways, first off, the story starts off with 4 panels, right? And it's Hal Jordan. And you're like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. But the city is in ruins behind him, and it's Gotham City. And he's talking about how, like, the power ring has one rule. It's like you can't hurt yourself with it. And he's putting the ring to his head. And he's like, do you dare me to do it? And then in the reflection of Booster Gold's visor, he shoots himself in the head with the ring, blows his brains out. And then it's like, boom, Tom King script. Like, we're in it. I was like, oh my God. I immediately texted the group chat and like, guys, this shit's happening right now. So like Hal Jordan's dead, falls to the ground. Booster Gold's reaction's like, that was intense, but awesome. Like, so basically we're in a story right now. It revolves around Batman and Catwoman's wedding. Booster Gold references a story of Superman, like, I think doing an alternate reality and finding out that the reality he's in is like, he needs to be there, or it makes him appreciate the reality he's in now. So as a wedding gift, Booster Gold goes back in time and saves Batman's parents. But he didn't save them as the gift. The gift he's giving Bruce Wayne is to realize that his life is going to be a lot better without his parents than it is with his parents. So now,
Bat point.
Yeah. So he's looking for Batman. He finds a Batman that's all Rambo'd out. It's not Batman, it's Dick Grayson. And Skeets is like, this isn't the Batman we're looking for. So they go find Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is celebrating, I think, his mother's birthday or anniversary or something, and he's dancing with his mother. But all of Gotham is in ruins. There's this Joker virus going around infecting all the heroes. That's why Hal Jordan shoots himself. Basically, Booster Gold shows up and he goes, hey, I did this as your gift to make you appreciate what you actually have in the world with you, with your life, with Catwoman, blah, blah, blah. And Batman is like, I always knew something was up. Like, something in my mind just didn't feel right. And he tells him, yeah, I have my time machine so I can bring us back and fix everything. Then Bruce Wayne smashes Skeets and says, like, I don't want to go back. And that's the first issue. Boom. Like, are you kidding me? Oh my God. It was, it might be one of my favorite Batman issues. I know I've said this a few times with Tom King writing Batman, but there's a reference to Kite Man there. There's Rambo Batman. Like, it's awesome. I can't get over how good this issue was. Yeah, so highly recommend. I mean, if you're not reading Batman already, what are you doing? Read Batman. So those are the only 2 issues I got to. I had a bunch of other stuff come out this week, but just had a crazy week. And Action Comics being like 90 pages. What about you?
Issues.
Yeah.
So we talked to Section 8 Comics at Empire State Comic Con.
Yep.
And I got one of their books from them and I read it. Ninja Mouse.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I forgot you picked that up.
It's a really good book. The entire story is told through the art. There's very little dialogue. And it's just kind of a cool little story of this ninja mouse going to this island where ninjas train and him going through the training. Simple story, but a lot of fun. And
he did that in 24 hours, he said. That whole comic was done in a day.
Oh, really? That makes it even more impressive, then.
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog number 3. So we've met different characters in the Sonic the Hedgehog universe, this one revolves around Knuckles and Sonic kind of catching up with him and what he's doing. And we get the stupidest villains you've ever seen, and they make fun of them even in the issue. I'm trying to remember what they're called. It was Rough and Tumble. So it was a skunk named Ruff and a I don't know named Tumble. But it's like I said before with the other issues, it's continuing the Archie comic legacy, and I really like it because it doesn't have all that baggage from the Archie books. Infinity Countdown number 2. It's the whole issue was basically the Guardians trying to protect the Power Stone, and they thought, if anyone doesn't know, the Power Stone right now is the size of a mountain.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you saying that.
So they bring in Ant-Man and tell him he needs to shrink it so that they can protect it better.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the pin particles aren't working on the Power Stone. So
well,
I'm trying to figure that out.
The Power Stone.
And then through all this, we learned that, in the last issue, Groot was cured and was given the ability to speak.
Yeah.
Well, now we learned that Groot is a fucking savage.
Oh.
He is just going off. Like, not afraid to... He's worse than Rocket. It's great.
That's awesome.
And, yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I pulled this because we talked about it last week. Poe Dameron number 26.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the issue that was supposed to take place after Last Jedi.
Okay.
And while it technically does, it doesn't.
Oh, of
so
course.
basically, the issue is it's Poe, Rey, and Finn, 3 people who have never been in the same room together outside of the end of Last Jedi.
Yep.
Sitting around talking and kind of getting to know each other. And Finn brings up the, like, how did you get out of that wreckage back in Force Awakens? And it's the story of that. So it's telling that story. So although it takes place after Last Jedi...
It's a flashback.
Yeah. So it's kind of... The headlines we heard were kind of not true, but... Yeah.
Damn it, Disney.
Still, good issue, fun issue. The Poe Dameron series is good. Black Hammer is back, so I got Black Hammer Age of Doom number 1. So in typical comic fashion, this was supposed to be the answer of how the family got to the farm and was trapped there and where they were.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Black Hammer's daughter finds out, comes to the farm to tell them, and before she can say something, is whisked away by an enemy.
Oh, of course.
And finds out she's in some form of hell. And
great.
She can't escape. And probably the best part is that hell is a bar, and all these like demons, everything are around, and there's a bunch of villains that are around, and the Ramones are playing in the bar. That's all going on.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's all my books. I'm sure I have more, but so far behind on stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I had a crazy weekend. I watched a couple movies and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think that wraps the show up for today, though. What a great show we had. Yeah.
So, Mike, where can everybody find you?
I'm at Fortress Ricker on Twitter, Ricker621 on Instagram, but I'm more interesting on Twitter, I think, than Instagram. So,
yeah, we're trying to build that Twitter. So you can find me on Twitter at Fortress Chris and on Instagram at Fortress News Chris. Find the show on Twitter at FCN_official. And of course, you can find everything we do at FortressComicNews.com. If you are watching this on YouTube, you know the drill. Thumb up the video, share it, subscribe to the channel. If you are listening to this on iTunes, you should also know the drill by now. If you haven't left us a review by now, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? Come on, just leave it.
I need reviews. Just come on. iTunes hates us, and we need reviews so they can love us.
Yeah. It's hard to get anything done.
Goes.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
All right.
Until next time, remember, everybody, next episode is episode 69.
Which is not relevant at all to anything.
No. But after that, it's Free Comic Book Day. Now episode 70.
Woohoo!
Woo! Free Comic Book Day. We're excited.
I'm excited.
So thanks for listening, everybody.